Well, thanks for visiting us this morning at KTALnews.com. I'm meteorologist Josh Morses with your Monday morning forecast update. Once again today, looking at some late day thunderstorms, quite possibly some severe weather. And as we come up on the last few weeks of severe weather season, never seems to go away quietly. And that will be the case for us today and maybe tomorrow as well. But all the severe weather risk days we've had over the last week, this is probably the one day that sticks out a little more than most. You can see the Storm Prediction Center. They actually have that level 4 moderate risk for some portions of McCurtain County, that level 3 enhanced risk down to I-30, and it's like the layers of the cake. As you get down to the bottom of the cake here, you kind of lose some of the icing, some of the flavors, or some of the ingredients for severe weather. So if you're down in the Shreveport area, kind of a marginal risk of severe weather there, but the severe weather risk does increase as you get to the north here, and it's not going to be a lot of storms today, but the storms that are out there definitely will pack a bit of a punch. But our weather is going to be pretty unchanged here for the next day or two. High pressure out here in the Gulf and area of low pressure that's churning up these rounds of severe weather. This is the severe weather round from late yesterday that continues to move to the north tonight, and another little disturbance that will move through the jet stream here. These tightly packed lines are the jet stream, so those storms will move south to north across the jet stream here later today once the temperatures get warm enough. But all the ingredients are there. We have a lot of mechanisms to trigger these thunderstorms today. The fuel being the warm and humid air that's out there, and you'll definitely feel a lot of that today as you go outside this morning. We're in the mid-70s and breezy conditions already, as we'll likely see the wind gusts today. Again, over 20 miles per hour. That south wind continues to bring that warm and humid air into the region. So mostly cloudy today, but a lot of areas will still break 90 degrees this afternoon, as we'll see a little bit of sunshine before those storms get going later today. So there's a cold front that's back here in Oklahoma and North Texas, and a dry line. Basically, the dry line separates the desert dry air here in West Texas from the moist air that's over here in Dallas and over towards the ArkLaTex, and that wants to overturn. The moist air is more buoyant, or likes to rise a little bit quicker than the dry air. So again, that dry line that's back here, that's that brown hatched line that you see, and on top of the cold front there, that's a lot of lifting mechanisms that will give us the rising motion in the atmosphere for those storms as that cold front continues to push to the southeast here, and of course the warm and humid air that's built into the ArkLaTex today. And that's why that bullseye for severe weather will be just to the northwest of us with those different risk categories through the ArkLaTex. Main risk today will likely be damaging wind, but the hail threat is pretty high with any storms that get going before sunset tonight, and can't rule out a few tornadoes. There is the potential to see a strong tornado anywhere in this enhanced and moderate risk zone. I think the tornado threat's going to be a bit higher, maybe to the north of the ArkLaTex, but definitely something we can't rule out. And by tomorrow, the severe weather threat begins to finally shift to the east here, but could be a few storms again east of I-49, especially in Arkansas and Louisiana. That could bring some of those same severe weather hazards tomorrow afternoon. So let me run you through the next 2 days on your Robin's Futurecast. You'll see the storms that are out there today likely don't get going until much later in the afternoon. So this would be the batch of storms here, maybe in that 3 to 6 p.m. window, arriving north of Interstate 30. You'll notice the storms, at least the forecast model, is keeping most of the storms north of I-30, but again, the ingredients are in place to see these storms as far south as I-20, which is why areas in Shreveport are included in the severe weather outlook today. Doesn't mean you'll see any severe weather, it just means that at least some of the ingredients are there as far south as I-20, but you'll notice the storms fizzle out late tonight. I wouldn't be surprised some of the severe weather kept going maybe close to midnight, but after midnight we should see it wind down pretty quickly here. And then tomorrow, again, the front will begin to push through here, so we'll trigger some storms. Again, Futurecast is showing those storms east of us tomorrow, but just as likely we could see those storms develop overhead in the afternoon. But a quick drying trend through the middle of the week. We'll actually have that front come through, and that should wipe out some of the humidity for a few days. And it's not a big rain-making system here. Again, the heaviest rain will probably fall to the north of us this week, but some areas of the ArkLaTex definitely could pick up maybe a quarter to a half inch of rain, if not some isolated higher amounts. And this is the HRRR model. I just wanted to throw that in to show you what's happening with that. This is the model that updates every hour, and it's kind of showing a similar thing with the storms arriving maybe by the mid to late afternoon here north of Interstate 30. But again, the concentration, or at least the heaviest rain, likely staying to the north of us here, but definitely something we will need to keep an eye on later today. So make sure in the northern ArkLaTex are staying weather aware for those storms later today. Tomorrow things do quiet down for most areas. I think we'll see areas like Texarkana drop back into the 80s, and as we lose some of the humidity, we'll get some nicer nights and mornings in the 60s. We'll likely dry out but stay pretty warm through the middle of the week, and looks like we'll stay dry through Friday, but I do expect some scattered storms will return at least late in the upcoming weekend.